Hello everybody, welcome back to Ash's Glitter Factory. Today I'll be reading chapter 17 from the Grimrose Girls book. Chapter 17 is called Yuki. Yuki lay awake in bed for a long time. Rory was already snoring, her soft breaths echoing through the room, her face half smashed into a pillow, her right arm out of the bed. The sheets rumpled. Nani's breath was slow and shallow, like she was about to wake at any moment. Yuki turned again, trying to get comfortable, still thinking about the conversation they had that afternoon. Ella's words echoing within her bones. What's the alternative? That we failed her? Yuki buried her nails within her palms until there were holes in the shape of half-crescent moons in her skin. She switched on her lamp, holding her breath, waiting to see if it woke the others. It didn't. And slowly, Yuki picked up Ari's book of fairy tales. She'd opened the book to a random page. Ari's scribblings were hard to read. They looked half in a hurry, purposely illegible, making it almost impossible to make out the letters. She flipped back to the beginning, but there was nothing inside the front cover to mark it as belonging to somebody. The book did not even have a title page or an author. Some of the fairy tales, as she fumbled through the thick pages, were familiar, not only because she'd watched most of them as Disney movies, but because she'd seen them a dozen times, told again and again, different by a little margin in each version until they were old, smoky, nebulous renditions of the original, until there was not such a thing as an original in the first place. They came in threes. Free task, free bears, free daughters, free friends, free little princesses stuck in the free towers. Sometimes there was an apple or a shoe or a spinning wheel or a flower. Sometimes summer, spring, autumn, or winter. Sometimes earth, water, air, or fire. In most stories there was a curse. The curse is varied too. Sometimes they danced until the soles of their feet were raw. Sometimes they had to kiss frogs or turn into swans, and sometimes in the worst of them they slept forever until true love's kiss, until there was proof that love could be even death. They repeated themselves from country to country over and over again. Cinderella's turning into Vasala's, snow queens into Father Frost, beauties transforming into rose reds and briar roses, wicked stepmothers, evil fairies, dancing princesses, a curse and a kiss, rinse and repeat. The list was long, and the book had a volume, the type small like a Bible, covering almost 500 pages. Right at the beginning, there were tales of each child had read at least a dozen different times. Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast. They greeted her with a warm familiarity. Her eyes skimmed the pages, and she found other titles she knew. Little Red Riding Hood, Hansel and Gretel, the 12 Dancing Princesses, the Goose Girl, the Princess and the Frog. 2. She held one from her own father, the mirror of Matsuyama and Kaguya-hime, and she remembered her father telling them with his solemn voice after they'd had dinner together, a tradition passed down by his mother and her mother before her, and since Yuki had no mother, it became her father's duty. There were more she'd never heard before, but seemed like they were still all a part of the story. The silent princess, Rose of Evening, the woman with two skins, how night came. Even though she didn't know them, they the same familiar themes, though a slight difference in the words used. A king's daughter who'd become the daughter of a chief, a horse who became a camel, a forest that became an ocean, a castle that became an island. Iron scribblings lined some of them, but not all. Sometimes a single word, mostly just underlined specific sentences that didn't seem to be special. Yuki turned the pages, but it was repetitive. Almost half an hour later, her head was swimming, bogged down by so many tales. Yuki had no idea why Irene was so interested in the book at all, or why she felt the need to hide it. Her notes bore no clues. Some of the words seemed like names. The passages she underlined were about dead mothers or dead fathers or children being abandoned. Some of the fairy tales, those seemed off, but it was too late for Yuki to understand that was what was bothering her. She didn't make it to the end of any of the stories since she lost her patience at the 4th paragraph at most. They always ended the same anyway, and happily ever after. She yawned, trying not to think of Irene. Irene on the day she had gotten back to school, on the day of her death. Yuki wasn't going to find anything in the book that could shed new light on Ari's death. She already knew what had happened. Yuki closed the book with such force on her lap that a stray piece of paper flew out. The paper was one she recognized, a welcome note they had all received the day they returned to school, to one waiting on their pillows when they got there. Yuki picked it up, turning the note to find something had been written on it. I'll tell you the truth. Bring the book. Okay, everyone, that is the end of chapter 17. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Bye!